This is the Retellings project on the Trail of Lightning. The book, The Trail of Lightning, was written by Rebecca Roanhorse and published in 2018. The novel is fantasy and full of aspects of indigenous myths and culture. It was written for a young adult/adult audience, and specifically for people who are fans of urban fantasy and indigenous representation in literature. The Trail of Lightning is set in a post-apocalyptic world where traditional indigenous gods and supernatural creatures are real. In 2019, it won the Locus Award for Best First Novel and was also nominated for numerous other awards. The protagonist, Maggie Hosky, is a Dene, which means Navajo, monster hunter with supernatural powers called clan powers. Her clan powers give her superhuman speed and efficiency in killing. After being published, the novel received a lot of praise for the representation of Navajo culture, the strong female protagonist, and the blend of Navajo mythology and fantasy elements. This novel is full of Navajo mythology and culture and mixes elements from traditional stories and beliefs into a modern-day contemporary fantasy setting. Some of the common themes seen in this book are Navajo deities and spiritual figures, as well as the hero's journey. This book is not about one single myth, rather it includes many different mythological figures and adds them into a modern retelling of what could happen if they were in our world. To start out with, Maggie is a monster hunter who used to be the apprentice of Nesgini, who is an immortal monster slayer and is a legend and sometimes seen as a god. She starts out in a town and is hired to rescue a girl from a monster. Eventually, she finds the girl but is unable to save her. She kills the monster that took her and brings the girl's head back to the family so they can mourn. She then brings the monster's head to her friend, who she calls Grandpa Ta, and is also a monster expert. At Grandpa Ta's house, she meets his nephew Kai, and the two of them deduce that the head was created by a witch. We learn that Kai is a medicine man, and it is decided that he will accompany Maggie on a journey to find the witch who created the monster. They then go on a journey and encounter an abandoned city full of ghosts, where Kai finds a box of CDs that he believes could hold some answers. After this, they go to Maggie's trailer and meet Mai, who gives them rings and offers them a quest, which they decline. The next day, they go back to Ta's house, but find that it has been burned down, and Ta is presumed dead. While there, Kai gets attacked by a man in the local law enforcement named Longarm. After this scuffle, Maggie intervenes and kills Longarm in the process, then takes Kai to Grace, who is her old friend and runs a bar. Grace and her family heal Kai, and we learned that he has healing clan powers, which they allowed him to heal a lot faster than a normal person would. And they allow him to heal other people as well. They then hear of an attack in a nearby city, and Kai, Maggie, and Grace's two eldest children go to investigate. Grace's two older children are both twins. And once at the city, they get sneak attacked by the monsters Maggie encountered earlier. One of Grace's twins was gravely injured, and then they defeat all of the monsters and rush back to heal the twin. Grace is very thankful and offers to help Maggie and Kai on the rest of their adventure. Mai reappears and warns Maggie that the witch she is looking for is much more powerful than she thinks, and Maggie accepts the quest that he gave originally, as Mai says that the end goal will help them to defeat the witch, because the end goal will give them an object that should help them gain the upper hand in their future fight. After this, on the quest, Maggie and Kai end up in a fighting arena, and the leader of the fighting ring sees that she's there and wants Maggie to fight. Her opponent ends up being her old mentor Nesgini, and he ends up winning and stabbing her in the ribs. After the fight, Maggie wakes back up in Grace's home, and they talk about their plans for how they're going to get to the witch, and they deduce that they think the witch is Nesgini, and they make a plan to fight him. Once we get to the fight, there are hundreds of monsters, but Nesgini ends up not being the witch who created them and helps them destroy all the monsters. The witch is actually Mai, and Maggie kills him and then uses the rings he gave her to bind Nesgini to one spot as a way of getting back at him for stabbing her, and also for the power he has had over her ever since she became his apprentice. These rings that she bound him with had some sort of power that wasn't revealed, and somehow bring Grandpa Ta back, as it was believed he died in the fire at his house. And the book finishes with Maggie and Ta talking and drinking coffee together. The author of this book is Rebecca Roanhorse. She is of the Oke Owenge and African American descent. She has a bachelor's degree in religious studies from Yale University, a master's degree in theology from Union Theological Seminary, and a law degree from the University of New Mexico, specializing in federal Indian law. Her inspiration for this book was that she wanted to write a story where the Native American characters looked like the people that she knows and functioned like the people she knows. She wanted to explore her own nativeness and properly depict Native culture through this book. The mythology this book is about, Navajo mythology, is rooted in the belief that people should be in balance with harmony and nature, and they believe in many different gods and spirits. This book is not about one singular myth. Instead, it includes a few gods and deities from Navajo mythology. First, we have the holy people. They are the ones believed to have created the world and guide humans through their walk in life. Next, we have Mai. Mai is another word for coyote in Navajo, and he is the trickster god who manifested as a human to cause trouble among the humans. Next, we have Nesgini, who is sometimes referred to as Nayen Nesgini, and he is seen as the god of war who, with his brother Tobachini, rid the world of monsters. The book says he is the monster slayer of legend and immortal who is the son of two holy people. This image on the side depicts a man dressed as what many Navajo presume to be what Nesgini looked like. The book also includes many monsters and spirits from Navajo mythology called Naye. The book makes occasional references to some Navajo myths, such as when Roanhorse writes that these didn't know the old stories sung by the Hatali, and Hatali is another word for just singers who sung Navajo mythology. The ancient legends of monsters and the heroes who slew them. There's a brief mention of figures called the badger, bobcat, and wolf, who are creatures of legend, similar to Mai. Ye Naldushi is another word for a witch who sells their humanity for power. It's also another word for skinwalkers, which are creatures that can disguise themselves as animals. And that is what Maggie was originally searching for, was Ye Naldushi. There's also Shidi, which are spirits that contain the evil of all men and women upon their deaths. Some similarities and differences to the myths this book is about. This book is not a retelling of any single myth again. Instead, it includes a collection of many different mythological figures found in Navajo culture. Maggie's journey is a modern retelling of the hero's journey that we see in the majority of mythology. In this book, we see a mix of indigenous culture, stories, beliefs, and mythology. The clan powers given to Maggie are not usually seen in Navajo mythology, but it is assumed that this was influenced by mythological figures, such as Nesgini, who appear in this book. Navajo mythology typically includes moral and spiritual lessons. This book does as well, and it also includes romance and modern political issues. Roanhorse adapted traditional mythology to have a modern twist so that she could reflect on the struggles of being an outcast and a native person to the reader. In an interview, she said that she has always felt like an outcast, so she writes to the outsider. She said that the Navajo people have this rich tradition of stories and heroes and legends and gods, and nobody really knows outside of Navajo circles. and that seemed like a shame. My final review on the book: the strengths: it has a strong female protagonist who goes through internal and external struggles. Roanhorse's goal was to have a strong female protagonist who embodies what it means to be Navajo, and I feel she did this very effectively. This book blends action with cultural depth, which leads to a very interesting and engaging story. Some possible weaknesses: the story is slightly uneven and shifts pretty often, and Roanhorse also includes some words in Navajo that sometimes aren't fully explained or translated, but overall the book is very good and would be a very good resource for someone who enjoys reading fantasy stories, as well as someone who wants to learn more about Navajo culture and mythology. And here are my citations.